Welcome to the VO School podcast, dedicated to the art, craft and business of voiceover. Each week builds upon the last to give you a comprehensive understanding of a career in VO. My name is Jamie Muffett. I'm a full-time voice talent and audio engineer, and I'll be joined by some of the industry's top professionals on both sides of the microphone to drill down and dig up the truth. Hello, this is episode 2. Thank you to everyone who's listened to episode 1. It's had a good response. I've had a lot of messages, and thank you. So, the theme of this episode is the voice actor. If the theme of the first episode was the voice industry looking outwards, this episode is looking inwards, or from the perspective of the voice industry looking at the talent. So what does the industry expect of the talent? What does the talent have to do? What do they have to know? How do they have to behave, etc.? So that's the theme. I've got some housekeeping as well that I want to run by you. We have a Twitter account. So if you want to get in touch, go to @VOSchoolPro on Twitter. You can follow along with announcements and all that fun stuff, and you can send me a message. I'm also on Twitter. My personal account is JamieMusicNYC. You can send me random abuse on that as well, if you'd like. I did run out of time / forgot to ask questions from you guys this episode. We were getting so into it that it just slipped my mind, so sorry about that. I will be sure to include them in next week's episode. And I will inform you of who the guests are next time. I know I keep saying that I'm going to let you know in the previous episode who's on the next one, but I'm just not that organised apparently. So apologies for that, but if you follow us on Twitter, you'll find out that way. And then you can direct your questions to me once you know who's on and what the subject is. I think that's it really. I don't think there needs to be much prep. I'm excited to present this interview. We had a great chat a couple of days ago, and I hope it's useful for you. So we're going to have a quick break, and then I will introduce you to today's guests. Okay, here it is.
Style. Power.
You're watching the home of the NFL.
The all-new iPhone.
Reserve your Disney World season pass now.
Through all the runny noses, 3 a.m. coughs.
An all-new American Crime Story, tonight on FX.
Hi, it's J. Michael Collins, and these are just a few examples of the first-class demos my team and I are producing. If you'd like to have something similar, visit jmcvoiceover.com and click on the Demo Production tab to find out more.
Jodi Krangle began her career as an SEO specialist and media buyer for local companies. She became a full-time VO 10 years ago and is now a highly sought-after talent across North America and around the world. Jodi has voiced the national and international commercial campaigns for companies such as Bissell, Kraft, Capri Sun, and Visit Orlando. She's narrated documentaries for HGTV in the US and Slice Network in Canada. Her clients also include Walmart, Target, Nestle, Bayer, Ubisoft, and Ashley Furniture Home Store. Jim Kennelly is a 30-year voiceover industry veteran. He is the owner and executive producer at Lotas Productions, a full-service voiceover studio in Manhattan's Flatiron district. He is also co-founder of Realtime Casting and has cast thousands of projects for the world's largest brands, production houses, and film and TV studios. With too many credits to mention here, Jim is a respected and prolific forward thinker and is known for his honest insight and positive attitude. Here's our interview with Jodi Krangle and Jim Kennelly. All right, so in the first episode last week, I was talking about the voice industry with Rudy and Amanda, and we were looking at it from the perspective of new talent coming in and the current state of the industry and things like that. So I want to flip that around this week, and I want to look at talent coming in from the perspective of the industry. So what does a new talent coming in, what skills do they have to possess? And are these skills things that they have to have innately, or are they things that they can learn?
I would say that at the very least, you need to be able to pronounce your words. If you have chronic mush mouth, you might have a problem in this business. Also, reading comprehension and reading aloud are things that you can teach yourself over time to get better at, definitely. But having some sort of, aptitude towards it is always a good idea. Beyond that, I think you really can learn just about everything else.
Right. And Jim, what do you think?
Well, I'll agree with Jodi. She's correct. You can learn most of the things that are necessary to become a successful voiceover talent. Certainly, it's important to have talent, but you can grow your skills as a voiceover talent through lessons, through reading out loud is a good suggestion. I think it's very important to bring a background that's developed, that you've had other experiences in your life. When we cast and we look for voices, start to get to know voices, voice talents, we're looking to understand who they are, what they've done in their life. Maybe they've worked as lobbyists. Maybe they've worked in the medical profession. Maybe they've been police officers. We try to understand that about a person because of the authenticity and the reality that producers want in voiceovers today. We're trying to match up who someone is inside of themselves with their ability to deliver copy.
That's interesting because I wouldn't initially jump to that as, life lessons being a critical skill or thing to bring to a career in voiceover, but I completely agree. That absolutely is relevant.
I would say that, my experience, the best talent are intelligent. It comes across the mic. It comes through. They're able to understand what a writer or producer is aiming at. They're able to quickly understand what's trying to be achieved in the copy. So it's much more than just a mechanical exercise when you're reading on mic. When you're really trying to communicate someone's best ideas one to another, it takes a little more soul.
Right. And interestingly, neither you nor Jodi, and I feel the same way, none of us have mentioned having a big, booming, fantastic voice. It's more about, it's more about
what you do with it.
Yeah.
But obviously, you, Jamie, and you, Jodi, are talents, and I'm not. I'm a producer. I'm a director. I do casting. But right away, I know that both of you have fantastic voices. You have lovely voices that are easy to listen to. You don't have to be this sort of deep, resonant, or this, Kate Mulgrew type of female voice. There was a moment for that. Understandably, my career is a little longer than yours. So there was a moment of that in the 80s and 90s where that was kind of the vogue. But voiceovers is always changing. Whether it's here in the United States or around the globe, culture is always changing. So the type of voices that people are responding to changes with our cultural changes.
So what do you think then is one of the hardest challenges for a new voice actor? We're in 2017 right now. What is it what's the biggest challenge to overcome, do you think?
In voice or in production?
Just starting out as a voice actor. So if you're, a talent may have a passion for, animation or whatever, or they just want to get into this career, what is the biggest hurdle for getting in, do you think?
That's a good question. I mean, my first response to that would be getting out of your own way.
Right, yeah.
Mostly because, I do consider this acting, but it's a different type of acting. And you sort of have to be yourself at the same time. And you have to be yourself while you have headphones on and you're speaking in front of a long cylindrical object and you're in a booth that's completely, it's a completely manufactured environment. And yet you have to sound natural.
Right. Conversational.
So that does require acting. It requires being in your head so that you can be where you need to be. In order to get across the emotions and connect with the copy that in order to do that in the way that you need to do it to satisfy the copywriters and the people who are making the commercial or the, anthemic video or whatever it is you're doing.
So you think overthinking is a problem when people start out? They may...
Yeah, I think it can really stop a lot of people up. And that just goes away with practice and with coaching and with understanding your environment as you go. Because the more comfortable you are in front of a microphone, the less it impacts you when you're actually performing. Yeah. And I mean, I completely agree. If you're second guessing everything you're saying, you're not invested in the script. You're not thinking about those emotions. Even if it is, it may sound corny, but even if it is for an internet spot or something for, Chuck's local car dealership or whatever it's for.
There's some motivation there, and you want to get that emotion across or whatever. So if you're really agonizing over every little decision,
I think patience is very important when you're starting out. We always talk about how patience equals trust and trust equals speed. The industry is all about speed now. So when a new talent is looking at this industry is moving at such a fast pace that it's difficult to think you can get on the train. Like, it's moving so quickly. It's moving at warp speed. So how do I catch up to warp speed? But what we say to young talents or even young producers, I always tell them, like, hey, you have to be patient, because in being patient with talent, be patient with your clients, you build up trust. Yeah. And once you start to build up trust, that's when you start to pick up speed. And now I know that if I had a script and I had a client that needed to cast it and I sent it to you, Jamie, or if I sent it to you, Jodi, I trust you guys because we know each other as professionals, that you're going to be able to fly through that material and get me this audition back so quickly in a really professional, perfect way. So for young talents, I would say you really just need to be patient. Just take your time, learn, take your classes, read out loud, as Jodi suggested, some of the suggestions Jamie is giving you. And if you're patient, you'll gain the trust of the people you work with, and then all of a sudden you'll find that you've picked up the speed that's necessary to be successful in the industry right now.
So is there a danger of burning bridges if you jump in too early?
I don't know about that. I think,
that could happen anywhere. But, this industry is built on redos. If there wasn't for redos, there'd only be half an industry. Yeah. So I think it's okay I'm a big fan of, again, when we talk to young talents, we talk about, hey, just fire away. Fire away is what the world is about now. I came from a world that was like, get your demo made and make it all perfect, and then you get your mailing list, and then you send it out, and then you follow up on it. Yeah. And that's the way we were taught that. It'll just never happen. But millennial producers and millennial people, they just believe in fire away. It's like we were talking to some young talent yesterday who dropped into our studio to just talk about the industry. And I'm saying to them, hey, just everybody you meet, everywhere you go, say you're a voiceover talent. Just keep telling people you're a talent. And eventually there'll be connections where someone will say, oh, I know someone who's a voiceover talent. How about Meg? And then all of a sudden Meg's in a studio recording something. And maybe she'll do a good job. Maybe she won't. But she's still learning. You're still learning. You're still moving your career forward. So kind of a fire away. Project, be patient, but fire away is kind of like contradictions. But I believe in both of them.
Yeah.
And you kind of learn, definitely in the beginning, and, I wouldn't advise this to everybody, but, you kind of learn sometimes by falling on your ass.
Right, yeah.
Those are life lessons.
Yeah.
Those are ones you don't forget.
Have you had any cringy moments you want to let us know about, Jodi?
I've had several, but none I really want to relate.
No, okay. That's fair enough.
I'll admit that it's rare, but occasionally I have a dream where the take's really good and I can't get the machine to go into record.
Right.
No.
It's like unreal. I'm there like, we'll go and record. It's a great read. That's just frightening.
Yeah. Or you're in the booth and you realize you're naked or something.
Right. It's like being in the test, you're having the exam at school.
Yes, exactly.
I didn't study.
Oh, so that's a really interesting perspective that you should just launch in, but with some degree of caution. Is that fair to say?
Well, I think you need to be patient, that it just doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
You can, project out, you want to be, vision out, I want to be on a Super Bowl ad, but, you better be patient.
Yeah. It's going to take a little time.
And you have to be receptive to where the industry sort of puts you as well. You can have a goal, but you don't necessarily know where you're going to find your niche and where you're going to be placed. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Yeah, because the industry is always changing. It's very important to be flexible in the industry. We talk to, and I'm sure Jodi and Jamie, you do too. We talk to talents, and it's like, well, don't keep falling back into the voice you book in. If you just keep going back to that voice, we see it all the time. It's like, yeah, that's a nice voice, but people don't want that anymore. I know that's your booking voice, but you have to change. You got to listen to what's going on in the air right now, and you have to be flexible. So.
So, Jodi, we were talking before we started recording here, and you said you started about 10 years ago. So how do you think things have changed from as a newcomer in the last 10 years?
Well, I think as Jim mentioned before, things have gotten a lot faster. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I have been asked by clients to deliver projects to them in a half an hour. And
right.
Being able to do that is part of my value-added, service. That's part of what I can offer. But I did not get asked that a whole lot, even 5 years ago.
Right.
I think it's just that technology has gotten so, fantastic. I mean, just the fact of, where we're doing this interview.
Yes.
Just, that says it right there.
We're not in the same room. I'll just get that out there if anyone's wondering. Yeah. We're in three different locations.
It sounds like we are.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. It's just technology has gotten so incredible in the last 5 years, even, quicker than that. I mean, I think Zoom is only maybe 2 years, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
These things keep popping up. And so clients and producers and studios are aware of all these technologies and they want to use them and I want to use them. And what that does is it speeds up my job.
Right.
Not only how fast I can do the job, but how fast I can deliver the job.
So it's continuing professional development as well, as you're...
Yeah. Very much.
Learning technology. That's half of it, learning the technology.
Yeah. I want to touch on that in a little while.
Right. I always talk about being a really good production partner, but besides the industry moving much faster too, agency producers are challenged by much heavier workloads. That's a big difference. And that's also one of the reasons why you have to be up to speed technology-wise. You have to be able to deliver quickly. Because these producers that we're working with, they're on many accounts. They're not just on one account. If you look at the old ad world, it was like, well, I work on the Bud Light account. And that was it. That's all you worked on. And now you work with millennial producers who are on 4 or 5 different accounts. And even though they may have Jodi in a session like this or you in a session like this, Jamie, and you're producing something, they're on their laptops or on their phones talking to their other 2 clients. And they're working 2 days down the road. And meanwhile, they're recording your session and you're like, well, how'd you like that take? And they're like, that was good. That was great. It's all good and we got to go. And then it's like, do it 3 more times and we're out of here. Send it to me on WeTransfer. We're gone.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, okay. But that's the industry.
Totally. Yeah.
So then I guess, Jamie, you were going to lead us somewhere else? Or?
Well, no, I was gonna launch from when you were talking about technology there, that I'm trying to put myself in the position of someone starting out and someone who just wants to be a voice talent. And that's what they want to do, because I've had people come up to me, and I'm sure this is the case for both of you, where they say things like, I've got a passion to be in animation or whatever it is, or people say I've got a great voice, and I want to do this job, but it takes a while for me to explain to people that there's more to it than just doing the voicing.
Oh, yeah.
You have to wear so many hats to do this job. And I wonder if we can explore this idea a little bit. I've made a little list, very short and very broad, but they have to not only be an actor, but they have to be a marketer, an accountant, an audio engineer, self-publicist, so many different things they have to learn.
Web promoter.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's tons.
Brand, create your own brand.
Yes.
On the tech side, we always do, I said it before, like talents that we work with sort of pride themselves already on being the best possible production partners because you're trying to meet the challenge that the agency people have. The agency people are being told, look, you've got to create something that's streamlined, efficient, consistent. We want to be able to also factor in financial factors. We have to balance all these things. So they're looking for talents who are good production partners. And so that means you have to be able to record, capture, and deliver audio in a professional manner. You have to do that perfectly, consistently, and quickly, just like Jodi was talking about. So that means a home studio setup or an audition setup that gives the producer who you're trying to help the ability to both direct you and receive your audio in an efficient manner.
I would say that one of the most important things when you're building any kind of home studio is the environment.
Yeah.
I don't care what mic you have. I don't really think that matters unless it's a really bad mic. I mean, you want something serviceable, but it doesn't need to be a 416 or a U87. You don't need that starting out, definitely.
Right.
You just need a quiet, dead environment so that you can give whatever producer you're working with all the tools to do the best that they can do.
Right. It has to have a consistent sound, a consistent recording environment. That's necessary. I can't come to you in January and you sound great, and then I come back to you at the end of January and your room sounds crappy. That doesn't help me. That's not consistent. So you have to be working to build a consistent recording environment. So then I can trust you.
And if you're not in a major center like New York, LA, London, wherever else, you do have to deliver the final product as well. It isn't just auditions or practice.
Right. I think that's standard now. We hire people all around the world. We work globally.
Well, yeah, there's Source Connect, there's IPDTL, there's ISDN by itself or through a bridge.
And Bidalgo Call.
And Bidalgo Call,
Which is what we're on right now.
Yes.
And
so it's all there.
you have to be able to use WeTransfer. You have to use Dropbox. You have to be able to deliver your audio that way. And these things are like de facto now. It's like this is the way the industry runs.
Yep.
There's still a moment, I'm in my studio in Manhattan right now, but it's a luxury. This is, this is an extension of my ego. I rent space on Broadway and I have a studio and talents can come in. And for some celebrity talents, that's necessary. But for, it's a level playing field in voiceovers now. I can hire Jodi in Canada in a heartbeat. I can hire talent in Virginia Beach and Florida and up in anywhere in the world. We can hire people in one click.
Yeah.
So
doesn't really matter anymore.
Right. Yeah. That's the whole idea that we got to talk to people in New York and LA. That's over with.
Thankfully. Otherwise I wouldn't have a business.
In the end, it's a good thing. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I know we did a SAG-AFTRA job for a fast food chain just 2 weeks ago. We did a big audition here in New York, all the top shops. We did some other people that we know who were involved in it, and it was won by a woman in Indianapolis in a home studio.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
That's great.
It's the truth. So for a lot of people who think this industry revolves around Chicago and LA and New York, not every time.
Yeah, I mean, the technology doesn't limit the sound quality as much as people think it does. When you go to a studio in, like you were talking about your own studio there, Jim, or, other studios in major centers, it's more the facility that enables people to sit in the same room and talk through the talkback at the talent and things like that. It's not necessarily, the technology. So you don't necessarily need to feel limited by your setup at home, so long as you do have your connectivity set up. I'd say having the ability to phone patch, Skype, IPDTL, Source Connect, maybe even ISDN at some point. Maybe that will phase out. That's another discussion.
If you can actually plug into your internet connection as opposed to being Wi-Fi, that generally will serve you a bit better.
Yeah.
That's too tech, Jamie.
Yeah, I know. We're going to.
Don't geek
I'm
the
wearing
podcast
another
out.
hat.
I'm sorry. We're running before we can walk.
But there is an element that if you do want to compete on a professional level in 2017, heading towards 2020, you have to get your geek side on. No one's going to serve it to you. You really have to understand what's happening in this industry. And technology, how we interconnect, like in many other industries, is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm. Geeks rule the world.
Well, yes, exactly. Exactly. Thank heavens.
Yes.
So where does one go to learn this stuff? Where do you go to learn the tech side?
I think it has to do with forming relationships. Like obviously there's a podcast like this, and there's tons of information on the web, and everybody has an opinion. But I think when it comes down to it, like a big thing in voiceovers is to form relationships with people, other talents, producers, studio people. And when you really can connect to someone and say, hey, can you help me out? Can you get me through the weeds here and tell me what I really need? That's the service we try to provide with people when we meet them. It's just like, hey, let me break it down for you. Because, the web is great, but if you just go on the web, there's, 10,000 articles on microphones, you figure it.
And lots of conflicting information.
Oh, yes.
Depending on how old it is.
Yeah. Because, there's a lot of ego out there. So it's about, it's about forming relationships. Like you could, if someone sent Jamie or Jodi or me an email saying like, hey, what about this microphone? What do you think? I'd be like, yeah, the mic's great. If you have the money, go ahead, buy it.
I have to say the Facebook groups are fantastic for this. Voiceover pros in particular, because they have pretty much everybody on there that, is doing this on a daily basis and has their own studio and knows about this tech and has their own area of expertise. There's also different Adobe Audition Facebook groups. There's an IPDTL Facebook group. There's one for Source Connect. There's all sorts of ones that you can get involved in.
Terry Daniels' voiceover camp is quite good for those starting out, I think.
Yeah, that's a great one too. There are a lot of them. So really, Facebook is a huge, huge resource for that.
I would say, echoing what both of you have said, you have to also pick and choose the kind of advice you receive. It's very straightforward to Google the person that's giving you the advice. Maybe it's just me getting on my hobby horse here, but there are very well-meaning people who are just regurgitating information that they've heard that's not necessarily reputable. So I would make sure you research the people that are giving you the advice to make sure they know what they're talking about. Because I've seen some awful advice. From a tech
I think we all have, yeah.
So just listen to this podcast and we'll tell you who to listen to.
Yeah. You'll get all the answers here.
Jodi and Jim have got the Jamie seal of approval. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's worth so much.
Nice to know.
Yeah. So that's the tech side. What about this? This is where I struggle. What about the marketing and promoting yourself, all that kind of SEO and all that kind of stuff? That's like a can of worms for me.
Totally.
How do you go into that?
Well, I think the first step is to really believe in it and know that that's where millennial producers are looking. This is where jobs are. It's how, younger producers are communicating. So you want to just sort of, again, dive in. You can, when I meet talent and they're like, oh, I don't understand Instagram. I don't know how to use it. Well, what are you talking about? You don't understand Instagram. If you take a picture, you label it. That's it. It's really not that hard. It's a matter of being, what I do to myself is I just try to make it a pattern. So it has to become a habit.
Right.
I tweet every morning on my train ride in to my office. And if I don't do it, it's in my mind like, oh, I didn't tweet today. Right. And if somebody come in is working in our booth and we like to take a picture of them working to kind of show that like, hey, this is what's happening for like Instagram or Snapchat, where if all of a sudden somebody leaves and I don't take the picture right away, I'm like, oh, wait, I didn't take their picture. Wait.
Right.
But
I know, I'm constantly trying to get you to not take my picture.
Yes, I know. But someone like Jamie knows like, oh, Jim's going to take my picture. But on the flip side, there are some of the actors and actresses come in and they're like, oh, I wore this blouse today because I knew you were going to take my picture. And I'm like, and that's great. That's a good thing. But so my advice as far as like trying to create your own brand and be involved in social media platforms, try to make it a habit. Once it gets built into your professional habit, just like reading out loud, following trends, learn about Instagram, learn about Twitter, and use them. Just try things, put it out there. And there are tons of articles about like it's got to be a story, it's got to have a storyline. Just don't be boring. There's articles like that you can follow.
Yeah. Jodi, do you employ all these techniques in your career?
I employ a lot of them. I'm a little less vocal on Twitter, although I am there every once in a while. I usually tend to comment on other people's things, or if I find something that really resonates with me, I'll post it in both Twitter and Facebook. Sometimes on my own website, I have a blog, and I'm not really putting things in there to educate other people necessarily. I'm kind of talking about what happens in the daily grind. What kind of direction did they give me? What kind of audition specs were there? And I got this job, so what did I deliver for them? And then maybe show the video of what it was.
Right.
Because I find that's
helpful. It's a good idea.
Well, yeah, I find it would be helpful for other people, but knowing how much the specs affect what they actually end up going for.
Right.
Sometimes not at all, and sometimes yes, definitely. So it's interesting to see how that shapes up. I am on Facebook a lot.
Yeah.
It's
Probably more than I should be, because it's kind of one of those rabbit hole things.
Yes, I know. I agree.
Well, and we try to use social media to encourage people. Like when I'm on Twitter, I'm trying to say something encouraging. I'm trying to point people towards things that I see that are coming in the voiceover industry. Like if you did follow me on Twitter, you see I'm talking about things that are coming. Like you have to start thinking about this. Because again, I want you to be successful, whether it's you, Jamie, or you, Jodi, or 10,000 other voices. You have to be growing with me and other producers who want the best talent. Like in the end, yes, the industry's moving quickly and all these things are happening, but creative people, producers like me, we still want great voices, beautifully executed, that engage the audience. Doesn't matter what platform you're on or what venue we're using you on. So I'm trying to encourage people to grow and say, hey, look at this. Look what's happening in the industry. And then on Instagram, we're really just trying to show people being successful, being happy, to encourage them. They're like, hey, hang in there. Maybe you're on a dry spell, but look, here's somebody we're working with, and this is how they got the job. And we had a great time doing it. So we're trying to use it to, encourage people and really show like, hey, this is who we are as Lotas Productions.
Right. That's cool. And it goes both ways. I think, as a talent, you can then research auditions that come in. You can look at brands online and get a sense of
you see the
their
names.
vibe. Yeah, exactly. In their campaigns. And
I know just this week on this past Sunday, I was looking at Twitter and a voice talent down in Florida had said like, hey, I'm on this NBA 2K spot. And there it was. And I looked at it and I said, oh, I like this guy's voice. So right away, I sent him an email on Sunday, and I said, like, hey, man, I saw your tweet. I like your voice. Send me your demo. Send me your demos.
Oh, wow.
And today we sent them down an audition right away. It was like, okay, let's see what's happening,
Fantastic,
So it happens. This is, it's not going to work every day. I'm sure this guy puts his stuff up all the time, but it does happen. There are people out there looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your point, Joe, Jamie, is very good, too, because I also use, like, Twitter and Instagram to look for potential clients.
I mean, it's good to know that, people in your position, people that are casting and producers and things like that are actively open to just reaching out.
Oh,
You don't hear about
Clearly,
things so
I need
much.
to post more on Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I always go back to millennial producers because that's who runs the industry now. You're talking about men and women who are 23 to 28. They're making the casting decisions. Sure. And, I came from a world that's, major talent agencies in major markets. But when you talk to them about agency names in New York and LA, they look at you like, I don't know what you're talking about. Not all of them, but there's an element of that. I don't want to name names of agencies, but
Yeah.
it's the industry again. It goes back to and it's very important to have nice representation, but the way that millennial producers look for talent, look for people to help them, is totally different than 5-10 years ago. And if you're not ready for that, the industry's flying by you.
Jodi, have you traced any direct result of your social media outreach? Has that come back to you? Have you been able to trace any of those?
It's, you know what, in my case, it's hard to trace. Sometimes Sometimes I do see some things from Facebook, but it's I really don't think that's where the millennials are. So I think more I'm communicating with fellow voice talent on Facebook than I am with potential clients. LinkedIn, however, has been a pretty good avenue for me, mostly just with making connections and being made having people that I connect with made aware that I'm out there. That's really, I don't think that when you contact someone immediately on social media that they're going to hire you in 5 seconds. It's one of those many touch point type of things. They have to see you multiple times. So I think it's harder to tell in the case of social media unless the client actually tells you. Because they could have seen something that you posted 6 months ago.
Right, yeah.
And you don't know.
And it's the start of a relationship, isn't it? I mean, it's not, like you say, it's not just an immediate, like, oh, I heard this, let's do business. Usually it's just getting the ball rolling.
I mean, no one really wants to be sold to. They just don't. So that's part of the trend in the industry, first of all. And second of all, it's also the trend in marketing. When you're contacting people, don't say, I'm me, I'm wonderful, you must hire me because I'm the best thing, No, because they don't care.
No, they won't just believe you.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's reaching out and creating some kind of a relationship and getting to know someone and understanding what their needs and wants are as far as their production capabilities and what they're working on and, things that are of interest to both of you, just connecting as a human being. No one likes being sold to as an object.
Yeah, that's a great point. We're getting close to the end, so I just would like to ask you separately if there's any advice that you would give someone just about to start. They haven't started yet, they're about to start. What advice would you give in a specific way as you like or a broader way as you'd like?
I always tell people, be true in small voiceover projects because it is in them that your success lies.
That's very true.
That is a good one.
It's like, take those jobs, work. Don't be thinking like this is below me or anything like that. Just do your best on everything. Like make all your work, every job you do, make it your best work.
That's great advice. Yeah. Jodi?
I would say coaching is really important. Finding the right coach, of course, but coaching is important in both developing your skills and developing your confidence because there's nothing worse than being in a session with a voice talent who's completely not confident in their abilities. That's going to be painful for everybody.
Yes.
So really, you just need to understand your strengths and play to them and have a coach that's going to get you past your weaknesses or at least know how to deal with them. Someone that's going to give you the confidence to go out and get what you want because it's not just going to fall into your lap.
Yeah, it's a hustle. It's a constant hustle. Because
Definitely.
you're we didn't really touch on being freelancer, but the voiceover career now, as Jodi knows, as you know, Jamie, it's really a freelancer's career, and whether you're a painter or a plumber or whatever, as a freelancer, it's a hustle.
Mm-hmm. We are entrepreneurs.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, that's a fantastic way to end it, I think. Jodi, Jim, thanks so much for coming on. I think your
Thanks
advice
for inviting us. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you very much. Very much our pleasure. Always a pleasure.
All right, there we are. Our interview with Jodi and Jim. They sound like a double act. There was so much information there. It's going to take everyone a while to unpack all of that, but I think that was a good interview, hopefully. I hope it will help you in your career. I will follow up on the social media references we had there, Twitter particularly. Jim can be found at @VO_Kennelly. Kennelly with 2 N's and 2 L's. And Jodi is at Jodi Krangle. Krangle with a K. We will be back again next week with episode 3. Keep an eye on Backstage on our social media and If you have any questions when you find out who it is and what the subject is, shoot me a message, let me know, and I'll try and include them in our interview. We'll be getting a bit more granular from now on. These were very broad subjects, the first 2 episodes, but we're going to drill down into more specific subjects from now on, at least for the next few episodes. So, be prepared to take notes, and hopefully they will help you out. All right, I'll speak to you next time. Thank you to this week's guests, Jodi Krangle and Jim Kennelly. Please like, share, and review the VO School podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at VO School Pro, and never miss an episode by subscribing on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or SoundCloud. Thank you to our sponsor, J. Michael Collins, and to Backstage Magazine. Join us next week for another class.